If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
I said it last night, so I'm going to say it again. It is Super Bowl week, so we got to up the stakes. We got to up the ante. We had a bonus episode after we released episode 265 last night with Darren. I'm being selfish, and I'm making my own Talking the Gridiron reunion because I got the other half, my fellow Bengals fan, united as strong as we can ever be. Jordan Maxon of the Maxon Report podcast is here with us, making yet another record appearance. You are the most recurring guest in show history, and I'm very happy that you're here. We get a chance. I cannot end a season of the Bengals with Nico because he won't give me the chance to speak my piece. Well, we're going to get deep into everything that happened with that team. So if you like Cincinnati, if you're coming in from Jordan's show, that's obviously going to be enticing for you. Make sure you're following at FEOTB Pod, and I have it up on the screen as well at OH_sports talk for Jordan's show. If you're a fan of high school football, especially in that Midwestern area, definitely start checking Jordan's show out. He's been getting a lot of recruits on, and I've been really enjoying like the new format of the show. So Jordan, I'm happy you're back. And it's been too long. Like I said last night, it was too long with Darren. It's been too long still with you.
Man, too long is an understatement, brother. Whenever we get on the mic together, it feels a little bit like home. It's where I started. Started talking to Gridiron with you. That's where my passion for all this really came from. Growing with you guys in this industry, growing with you guys in this business. You and Darren, it was, Sunday nights were extremely special, and our friendship that came out of it was even more special too. But to continue to hold the title and the belt, I might go get a custom belt with your guys' logo on it and wear it over my shoulder every other week. Yes.
I got one of these for Cena's last match because my brother and I cried all morning that morning. The little slap bracelet, man. WWE Championship belt.
A lot of that going around. We'll see if AJ Styles keeps his word or if he transfers companies or – God, I just hope he doesn't go out that way. But that's a separate conversation. But it's great to be on with you tonight. I'm pumped. I'm happy. A little frustrated, but as a fandom, we'll get into that, I'm sure. And Jimmy, kind of just take us over the top here. Let's dive in, brother.
Yeah, no, it was frustrating, and I put it on here. I'm masochistic in a way because if other people are going to say it and I see it and I know that it's true, I might as well put it out there too. But this is disappointing would be an understatement, and with the way everything played out, I think that we should look at this without the understanding that all the teams are going to fire their head coach and just start from the beginning. I don't understand how we thought that this was going to be any different. I know that Burrow was able to go through a whole camp, but it's the same coaches, it's the same scheme, it's the same schedule. They didn't change a single thing about their preparation going into the season. It was a similar defensive personnel at least. Al Golden's scheme is going to come in and fix this whole thing. This is the same guy who ended up saying after Burrow went down with his turf toe, "Oh, I didn't realize that we weren't going to give up 30 and just try to win 33-30 every week. I should adjust some things." But just overall, I would say it's where we've been. It's a familiar place and a familiar feeling. But I'm just sick and tired of it because now that we've been that close, I want to be consistent. I want to do the things right. I want to do the things that I see other organizations do around the league. Like the Patriots were 4-13 a season ago.
No, you're not wrong, brother. And I would say offensively, we all know Zach Taylor handcuffs offense, regardless of who is behind the mic as an offensive coordinator. But defensively, it stems from the contract dispute with Trey. It goes all the way down. We had that drama. We started the season. Shamar Stewart, the same thing. What an early bust. We'll see. The young man can have another swing at things, but just a project prototype, and that's where the organization goes into. We got to look at the draft. You look at the draft. We haven't hit on a defensive player in Jimmy. It feels like 5 years. Honestly,
Gino was drafted by us, right? Gino seems like Gino, Jesse Bates. Those are just names that come off the top of my head, but it is not. I don't understand why they draft so many projects because it's not like they have the personnel in the organization to develop people. Normally they have to get the best player at their position and just insert them into the lineup. They're playing true talent football. That's the big issue. That's what it comes down to. I don't trust the coaching staff to develop a project because they haven't done it.
No, they haven't done it since the Marvin Lewis era. And, that's just the truth. We haven't developed a solid, non-free agent defensive player since the Marvin Lewis era. Cam Taylor-Britt went downhill. We hope that the rest of the secondary.
Logan Wilson went downhill. I'm thinking of other names. Jermaine Pratt, no longer with the organization anymore. You can say that they didn't necessarily go downhill. They played on a bad defense at the end of their time in Cincinnati, and now they're other places. They're just not there anymore.
I would say Logan Wilson had his struggles because he also had struggles in Dallas, but Jermaine Pratt shined in the Colts, and I feel statistically he finished second in the team with tackles, and that was coming in late in that season. So, he definitely fit in that scheme with Lou and the boys, but,
And that's the other thing, too. We had a defensive coordinator that we knew we could trust, and we didn't give him the groceries. Like, we let his mouthpiece of the defense, Jesse Bates, walk, and we were surprised that the next season he didn't have anybody that could run his scheme. Like, it's you're cutting off your own fingers here, and you're wondering why you're bleeding. You have the scissors. You're holding the knife. You're the one that's doing these things to you. Why not just keep things in place? Why not spend a little bit more extra money now that you know you can be competitive? I get not spending money when you suck. When you are the team that picks back-to-back number one overall picks, not investing is probably the smart business decision. But right now, you had a top overall draft pick at quarterback who is turning into one of the top quarterbacks in this league. People are going to say that he has to make it back to the playoffs to really get that back, but I do think that it's a possibility. You have a top 3 receiver in the world. It's Smith and Jigba, it's Justin Jefferson, it's Jamar Chase. The order doesn't really matter, but those are the best 3. You were able to retain T, which now looking back on things was probably another thing that set everybody over the edge. You spent way too much money on one position, and everywhere else was a struggle. Everywhere else had to play a perfect game. There was no room for error in the offensive line, in the running back room. Joe Burrow had no room for error trying to get the ball to these guys, and it's a dependent position. I guess outside of the draft, where did you start to see when did you realize that this thing wasn't going to go the way that we were expecting?
Oh, week 1. It starts in the trenches. It starts with your tanks. And on the defensive side of the ball, we didn't have the tanks. And, I know Jesse Bates was one of the big mouthpieces, but the heart and soul of the defense went over to Detroit. So the decline of not retaining somebody like DJ Reader and, that big spot, that big run defense. And it's always been like
really
this
big
since
communicators at all 3 levels of the defense then.
It's been I would say the linebacker position 2 years ago was still steady, but when those guys had to come up and consistently make plays because the defensive tackles aren't eating space, that's why through the first 5 weeks 2 years ago, Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt were 1 and 2 in tackles in the league through almost the first half of the season because nobody else was able to push anything back. And that's because we didn't have a DJ Reader. That's because, we haven't had a 3-tech since Ogunjobi departed either. We don't have that 3-tech applying pressure. Ogunjobi had 8 sacks during the Super Bowl run, and we didn't even have him in the playoffs, if that shows you anything. So you look at that, and it's just been the decline. It's been the defensive trenches. Now I'll give the offensive line some credit when I say trenches because last year statistically was the best offensive line Joe Burrow and the Bengals have had in the last 5 years. So, and a lot of that's development. We finally found a guard that can play on the right side. We finally found a right tackle that has been our draft pick. The left guard, Reisner had to come in and stabilize as a free agent, but I don't hate it. This year, I'd love to see the left tackle position completely done. But
Karras sticking around?
We have so much money invested in him.
If you lose your center at this point, that would be a big step backwards.
Well, Ted Karras has signed an extension, so we have him at least.
I thought he was coming. I thought he was coming to the end of the. I thought that the extension was the year before, but they were good. They were good, but the pass it just takes too long. The development, the practice and camp, clearly something doesn't work going into the season because they come in and look like the most behind unit of anyone offensively, and that was what happened. That was week 2. they couldn't hold up in pass protection. They're rotating in new guys, trying to solidify who's going to be the first 5. But I said it last night too. By the end of the season, that was a team that I would, if that team in November showed up in August, we're talking about a totally different scenario where you're not having to win 7 games in a row down the stretch to have a chance at the playoffs. You had a running game. I really liked what Chase Brown was able to do this year. He kind of took that next step forward, whether it was, I'd like to get your opinion on how you think he went, but that offensive line did turn themselves around. It just took too long.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of youth there too, but it did take too long. And, Joe Burrow's going down with injury consistently doesn't help either, because you look at the play, this is the first year in recent memory that we actually had played 3 different quarterbacks, with the Joe Flacco trade from Cleveland, which kind of saved the season, but the defense decided not to show up. I was actually there at the Bears game when the miraculous comeback that never was.
I felt so bad for you.
My daughter's first game, by the way. Totally.
Yeah, no, I saw the picture before you guys posted before the game. I was like, that is awesome. I'm so happy. Like, just that's cool. I'm glad that they got to be there, and they're playing well. Oh my goodness. I said it last night. I didn't want to be Colston Loveland's coming out game. I didn't want to do that.
No, well, it was Fanungai's coming out game because he had 200 yards on the ground.
Yeah, and then Caleb Williams caught a zesty touchdown in the corner of the end zone. I said last night he spun the ball and did his little.
Well, it didn't help that Caleb Williams was also a receiver. So yeah, that they were just doing whatever they wanted to the Bengals defense that day. Absolutely horrifying to see. And my hate for Geno Stone was already in stone, all pun intended, but really was solidified after the totally missed tackle for the game-winning touchdown, because Chicago had missed 2 field goals prior. So even though if he would have caught that ball and got over the 50 to the 45, there was still no guarantee. As long as we made the tackle, there was 0 guarantee that Chicago was going to make one, because they had missed not only an extra point, but 2 field goals. So their kicking game all day long sucked. And I wasn't worried about it. I was like, all we got to do. And Jamar Chase even said it after the game, 1 stop. And, that's literally what the whole stadium said, besides the Bears fans chanting Green Bay sucks at the end of the game, which Bengals fans got into because we didn't have anything else to say. So, it was a total love fest for hate of Green Bay. That's what I'll say what the stadium was.
That was the point of the season where everybody had sold their tickets. Like, they were trying to stripe out the opposing team a couple times, and I saw the stadium. There were no stripes. There was orange. It looked like a cat that had gone through a little bit of alopecia, a Bengal tiger that's been a little bit long in the tooth. He had a black spot here. He had an orange spot here. There was some green and yellow shit going on over in this corner. That seems like it might be cancer. That's not good.
No.
How do they turn this thing around? Like, what are they going to do in this scenario? Do you agree with keeping the head coach, being the stabilizing force in this division where all 3 of the other teams got rid of the guy, whether they were successful or not? I know how I feel about Zach Taylor, but you're a lot closer to it than I am. So what were your thoughts at the end of the season when nobody gets fired and Mike Brown comes out and says Duke Tobin and Zach Taylor have our utmost confidence and they're going to continue to lead us into the future? Like, literally the second that coaches could get fired, that statement was released by the Bengals PR.
No, Mike Brown and Duke Tobin need to be writing episodes for South Park, because that's what I feel like this team is living in. A total sarcastic-ball, if you ever watch that episode. Maybe I'll throw a clip on my website later when Randy Marsh's character goes ham, because that's the way I feel, Jimmy, because it's just like it. I'm trying to be politically correct here without offending people these days. It's total stupidity, for lack of everything else that I could say. This is the dumbest franchise ever. Zach Taylor handcuffs this franchise with his dumb play calling, his lack of route trees, lack of communication, lack of using his tight end room, which was advanced this year.
Lack of toughness and respect that his team doesn't give him.
No, there's no respect in the locker room. At least Marvin Lewis had some respect on his way out, because he held people accountable for the most part. But he was handcuffed by ownership, where Zach Taylor is just a puppet up. It's just a puppet. He's on Sesame Street every Sunday afternoon, every Sunday evening when he gives his stupid press conference about, we're gonna get to where we were 3 years ago. Nobody gives a shit, man. Professional sports is what have you done for me lately? This is an industry with, and you saw it the rest of the division. What have you done for me lately, Hardball? What have you done for me lately, Mike Tomlin? Because
Stefanski, two-time coach of the year.
They didn't rely on that. Oh, I was coach of the year. Oh, I won a Super Bowl. Oh, I won a Super Bowl with Flacco. Their ownerships didn't give a shit. But we live in this, we were so close. We were one play away. That team is come and gone. You didn't pay that team. Yeah. You didn't pay those players to come back and be one play away. We said we're not going to spend money. And then we end up spending more money because you add up the draft capital. You add up the failed free agents. And, Jimmy, we spent more money than just keeping the guys that we effing had. Yeah. And that's the definition of insanity. Let's try the same thing and hope we get a different result. No. Katie Blackburn has become a pushover. Duke Tobin is a Muppets character on the reboot. It's just it's a continued madhouse. I'm infuriated that we kept Zach Taylor. He's not knowledgeable in the game. He's not knowledgeable in route tree.
He wasn't around McVay for that long. We can get rid of him. He doesn't smell like him anymore.
No, and the players don't respect it. We got players in the Pro Bowl telling the front office what to do. Hopefully they're listening because everybody in the Pro Bowl from the Bengals said defensive interior line, Max Crosby, and they were just going down the line on like what the hell we should do. You know, I know 8-year-olds that play Madden that can put together a better team defensively than what the Bengals have done in the last 5 years. So my coaching question before I go further into what I think they need to do. No, I was furious that we kept him because the rest of the division who did well, minus Cleveland, but that's been a shit show from the get-go with the revolving doors of quarterback situation they put themselves in.
Yeah.
Everybody else got fired, and here we are, comfortability. It's just somebody that can manipulate and play. That's why we don't have a real GM. That's why Duke Tobin's just the mouthpiece reading from a fucking script. Oh, I did it. My bad, Jimmy. But go ahead.
There are no censorships on this show. We Nico said I couldn't be on the radio because the FCC regulations. We got to be able to say what we want when we talk about sports, and things get out of hand. This is stupid shit. Like we're living in the other guys. That's every time that I see Zach Taylor on Facebook because the interviews only pop up on Facebook. You know what? I just walked by 2 cops outside, and I could have badmouthed you behind your back. But I decided I wasn't going to do that. Oh, that's really nice of you. No, because I'm going to come in here and say it to your face. The sound of your piss hitting the urinal, it sounds feminine. Like Zach Taylor just gives off the vibes of the guy. 9:15, everybody. Let's have a great day. Shut the fuck up.
Nobody asked you. We'd like to thank you for all the women we're sleeping with.
Yeah.
The action that we have to do.
Just please get out. Do the paperwork behind the scenes. You might be a good front office guy. You're probably a hell of an offensive analyst, Zach Taylor, but you were never a coordinator. You don't know how to call plays, and you don't know how to identify people who can call plays.
No, because, I mean, you know, here we are again. And, I mean, look at our offensive coordinator that went to Tennessee. Did it work out? You know, some of it was their front office too, but it's just Callahan himself. I mean, it's just every branching tree that we have. Because Lou's considered a failure in Indianapolis. They didn't get it done at the end of the year. Some of that wasn't all on him, but you look at our coaching tree. It hasn't worked. A lot of it hasn't been successful.
Can we say a thank you that we didn't bring back fat ass Phillip Rivers to play quarterback for us when we had no quarterback? Like, yeah, Jake Browning sucked against Minnesota, and I don't know if you adopted this on your show, but I adopted this on our show. Isaiah Rodgers still owns my ass as a Bengals fan because of that Minnesota game. The fumble 6 and the pick 6 and back-to-back defensive series. You got to be kidding me. That was the moment that I sat there and I went, you know what? Fantasy football is pretty nice. I'm going to turn off the Bengals game and I'm going to turn on the Patriots because I have Drake May starting at quarterback this week, and I got to see if I'm going to run a mile in a suit because the Bengals aren't. Why am I going to care more than what the team is showing me on the field? I know they care. I'm not going to be one of those people that sits here behind a microphone and says they don't give a shit. They make their millions of dollars and they go home to their mansions. They don't care that they're losing. I think they do. But what they put out there on the field, it feels like I care more than they do in the moment. It feels worse for me that they're giving up 55 points on the road with a backup quarterback and nobody's doing anything on the sideline to fix it. Like Zach Taylor never had a scowl in that game once. He just sat there the whole time like, I wonder what we're going to do. Change the quarterback. Something. Put somebody else in the game. You're down by 50. You might as well see what you got on the roster.
And that's a development issue Cincinnati's always had. And Lou was the almighty on that too, especially defensively. Bringing back a guy like guys. Yep, bringing back a guy like Von Bell after he had a terrible year in Carolina. Even though not doubting anything he did for us an organization when he was on top, but not developing Jordan Battle that year was a little ridiculous in a lot of ways. And that too, just that defensive line and overplaying Sam Hubbard. I mean, this organization, but now I kind of see maybe that's why. Maybe he knew what we figured out this year that, all these guys that we drafted, Murphy and company, although he did have a little bit of better year, he did some good things against the run. I think he finished with 5.5 sacks for the year, which is still, that's not a number one pick stats. Sam Hubbard was a 3rd round pick and was doing better.
Yeah, he was Mr. Cincinnati. If he didn't have so many overuse injuries, that dude would still be playing and suiting up. He's a guy that I look at on the screen and I'd say he'd do it for free. You can tell there's some guys that are just out there because they love playing football, and the fact that he's getting paid doesn't factor into how hard he's going to play. And you cannot sit here and tell me that Hendrickson didn't play harder on the opposite side of him. But when he wasn't there, Hendrickson was in his one season that, and he had his hip. But I feel like he would have put forth a better effort if you had a guy like Sam Hubbard holding that defense accountable. Because they sucked the season before, but they at least looked like they were fighting against people. This year, there was multiple times that they just gave up.
Oh, 100%. And like we spoke earlier in the show, the Chicago game was a perfect example. Things that never happen, Jimmy, happen. You never see an onside kick work when they know it's coming, especially in this day and age where you have to announce it. It worked. You never see, a 40-year-old quarterback with a dead arm and a shoulder issue the week prior, with that stinger and everything that was happening for Flacco, go down and, 75 yards, score the touchdown to Yoshavash, and then get the 2-point conversion, which, again, almost never happens when you need it to happen. And it's just the perfect storm, and you're like, one stop. Hell no. Nobody gets there. Nobody got pressure. 3 people missed the tackle. Which, Jimmy, I'm interested in. I don't want to shift it run your program. How do you feel about the missed tackles this year? Just being sky high and having 2 linebackers that rank both 29th and 30th out of 32 starting positions, being that bottom and having that just absolute outstanding number of missed tackles this season.
Yeah, it's because the Bengals were out of it so early and the Broncos were having the season that they had. I didn't flip allegiances, but I was watching the Broncos games more than I was watching the Bengals games. They're on easier in my area, and just watching a guy like Alex Singleton, I didn't realize the difference that it is, even if they get a successful play, which in the offensive mind is 4 yards, because if you go 4 by 3, you're still getting a first down. Just knowing that there's a guy that's going to make a tackle. It's Hufanga, it's Singleton, it's Surtain. There were guys on that Denver defense that you knew were lockdown tacklers, and it's just a totally different feeling. I'm not nervous when I'm sitting there watching the Broncos defense go out there. Every time that Rico comes on the field for the Bengals, I feel anxiety. My palms are sweaty. My chest is tight with, how are they going to screw this up? They're going to give up a punt return, or once the defense goes out there, they're just going to lose it. They all want to pick 6. And guess what? Nobody can get all 11 of you can't score on the same play. All 11 of you can't get a sack. You know what you can do? You can be in the place that you're supposed to be in and stop a guy before he gets a first down. If you force an offense to continue to make plays, at some point they will make a mistake. But when you're giving 15, 20, 30 yards after broken tackles every single time, that offense resets. That defense that's on the sideline right now is getting extra rest that's about to go up against your offense. You're out there and you're like, I'm so tired, I don't even know what to do. You would be off the field if you could just get somebody on the ground. Maybe a couple times. Maybe they still get a couple first downs, but they end up punting it from the 50, and it's a better situation. But I said last night, as a coach, I want the series to end with a kick. It's a punt. if it's a field goal, if whatever. But on defense, I don't want them to get to the end zone. If I tackle them every single time, statistics show it's harder to get to the end zone the closer you get to it.
And I agree with you there. So how do you feel like the Bengals should roll with the same 2 starting linebackers, or do you think we need an upgrade? Because I look at Derek Carter and I see issues, and Demetrius Knight, I see issues. I know they had some flash plays here and there, but do you think it's coaching fundamentals, or do you think it's time to bring in a veteran guy, or even because at the 10 spot, Jimmy, there's a lot of great linebackers coming into the league this year. Do you think we roll with the same, or would you like to see a splash?
I would love to see a coaching shift to a guy that, maybe it's a guy that you elevate from a college role that's known for having guys underneath him and teaching them the fundamentals, because the 2 linebackers that you have now can be good, but they need to be coached up. I think that it would probably come down to a coaching decision and bringing in a veteran, but those 2 cannot be your A and B plan. You have to do something. And the worst case to me is bringing in another young guy, because the way that you give up big explosive runs now is your linebackers not reading the run fits correctly and ending up in the same gap as a defensive lineman when they should have been 1 gap over. And that's what young guys do. In college, you can make up for that because you can just blow through the fullback that's trying to block for you. In the NFL, you can't always do that. You're not always the strongest or fastest guy. I feel like they need a coaching presence, and they need a veteran presence to show these young guys, like, it's not always about making the big hit. It's about going through the right gap and making the tackle the correct way. Sometimes it's going to be a hip. Sometimes you're just attacking an ankle and you're grabbing the guy by the foot so that somebody else can hold him up and get the fumble. But you do not always need to have the highlight, knock their helmet off hit. That was my biggest issue with Knight. He was trying to lay people out so often, he would run right past people. Where'd he go? If you had your head up and if you stopped your feet, you might have made that tackle. And it probably still could have been a pretty big hit.
I just saw bad angles all year. Whether it was Knight or,
I think they're running through the wrong gaps. I think that they're taking the short, as a defensive coordinator, it's easy to take the short way behind the offensive lineman, but as an offensive lineman, I'm taking my step to the right. If you run back to my left, that's the easiest block that I could ever make. I just got to stop my feet, stand my fat ass hit in front of you, be like, run around me. If you go this way, I'll block you. But if you continue to go the short side, the easy side, I'll just run you right past. And, my running back's way down there. I'm going to go huddle up over here. You move up 40 yards because you guys decided to take the easy way instead of playing the gap that you should have been playing.
And I saw a lot of that too, but just, simple screen passes and outlet passes that should have been 3 to 4, busted out for 15 to 20. And that's why all of a sudden we're in a red zone defense. And that just killed me. But looking at the draft, like a guy like Alvaro Reese out of Ohio State doesn't intrigue you, or should we leave it alone? Or are you more of we got to fill in the gap in other areas?
They've kind of already missed out on the opportunity of getting a new coach, a new position coach, and a new.
Correct.
When free agency hits, we'll see. But I don't know if there's a free agent linebacker that's going to be a consistent presence that you can put on the field in front of these 2 guys and have them actually learn behind. It's the most likely scenario that I see is them drafting a guy like the guy you just mentioned out of Ohio State. They'll probably draft a guy because that's the easiest and cheapest option. And what does this organization like to do? The easiest and cheapest option. It's too hard to find a new position coach that's going to be able to take these guys where we need them to go, and we're going to have to pay him more money. Or we bring in a guy like Alex Singleton, who is done with his contract here in Denver or possibly going to be moved. It's going to be too much to pay a veteran. I'd rather pay a rookie over here on this little teeny tiny deal, and we'll just figure it out. We'll just continue to – if we play enough, we'll figure it out.
What were the bright spots? Because I know my bright spots defensively. What and I know that's rough to say, but what were your bright spots defensively in Cincinnati this year?
There wasn't a ton. I think the secondary was more opportunistic than I was expecting. They were able to cause a little bit more havoc than I was anticipating going into the season. And maybe that's Golden's scheme. But I just think that it was never a full performance. Nobody was ever focused the entire time. There were always mental lapses. while I think that there were definitely performances that warranted better than the season that they got, they just didn't stay in the moment long enough to actually take advantage of those situations. Sometimes it's doing the easy stuff over and over and over again that leads to the biggest turnarounds and biggest turnovers. And right now, that's what this team needs. You got to be willing to do the boring shit consistently over and over and over again until you get that down, and then you can start going fancy.
And I agree with you, but I'm going to shout out DJ Turner for he was a top 10 corner. He was a top 10 corner.
That was the opportunistic. He was the ball hawk that I was not expecting.
And I'm also going to give a shout out to Dax Hill, because he did play above standard in the situations that he was put in. He had a lot of pass knockdowns. He didn't give it too much up. And he was also very opportunistic on the snaps that he was given. So, especially with his now third position change in the last 3 years, which is kind of wild for a first-round draft pick. But we changed scheme so much. Lou didn't trust him because we went with the veterans. Then we turned around. Al wanted to use him as a cornerback because we had Geno Stone. And to me, that was a money decision. Oh, we're spending so much money on Stone. Let's just keep putting him out there. Whether it works or not, we're paying the guy $8.5 million a year, whatever it turned out to be. But that's just the way I see it, because you're not going to keep somebody out there that sucks unless there's just some other oh man, I'm already spending the money, so I might as well. That's like saying I'm already paying for Netflix, but I'm going to watch the shittiest show they got. Because they're getting by now, what is it, up to $30? It's outrageous these days. But
yeah, $30 and you can't share unless you have the same address, physical geolocation address. Can't share.
Hey, Hulu's starting that too, dude. Disney's reading from the same playbook, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I'll shout out those two. Definitely, I'll shout out Knight in some plays. I know he had a couple nice interceptions here and there. As a guy, that's just something I didn't expect after seeing all the missed tackles. Slayton on a defensive line, I know he gets a lot of hate, but if you add up the statistics, he had a DJ Reader year. I mean, he had his 3 sacks. He had a certain amount of tackles. I know it was compared to the first year DJ Reader was in Cincinnati. It's identical, but it looks so bad because everybody else around him sucked. So he's not pushing people back and making plays because he's in the middle of a double team, because nobody is worried about the outside forces, especially when Trey Hendricks went down. Nobody's worried about the pass rush. So these guys in the middle are just getting double teamed and double stuffed and combo blocked all day long because nobody in outside's getting there. So, if you can win the battles on the outside, you can combo block the big guys on the inside. And I felt like that was just kind of the song and dance for anybody playing against the Bengals D.
And I know that we were talking about linebacker and we just went with edge rusher and pass rush in last year's draft, but we already said it. As of now, it's a bust. Shamar Stewart is not what you drafted him to be, and who knows if he's ever going to be that. At 10, is there an edge rusher that intrigues you? Is there somebody like a Reuben Bain from Miami, or a guy that was causing havoc? And David Daly isn't a name that comes to mind from Texas Tech. There was edge rushers in college football to be had this year. Why not get a pass rush? Because then if everybody else sucks behind them, at least it's only 3 seconds to throw instead of 8.
And I agree with you there. Depending on what happens in free agency, depending on what happens with the trade drama part 2, because we know it's going to happen as the Bengals. We're the back page warriors of the sports world. We're kind of what the Giants were when the Jets were on top of the world, and Giants were kind of the back page of New York. We're kind of the back page of Ohio when it comes to just football in general. I mean, Cleveland's making more headway with their quarterback controversy than we are with anything else that we're doing right now, besides that, we signed the 2 receivers, and then we got the 1-year extension after 2 days before we kicked off with Trey, which another reason I think that he played with injury and got injured, because the man wasn't, you can say you're working out at home, but Jimmy, I know as a coach and both as a player, it's not the same. Your workout at home and your workout at the local gym, it's not the same as being in the weight room with, your 36 other guys.
Surrounded by other alphas. If you're working out at home, you're the alpha in the gym. you got to be around other guys that are going to push you. Like, I got stronger in college because I saw guys squatting 650 around me, and I didn't want to look like the weakling. So I put more weight on the bar, and I figured out a way to get it up. If you're just sitting, Trey Hendrickson sitting at the 24-hour fitness, he's like, I can put on 315 and be the strongest today. I think 315 is a good number for squats today. Yeah, you're going to go up against 330-pound offensive linemen, but go ahead and stop your squats at 315, big guy. Don't worry about that.
And I do. I'm not taking anything away from his talent, but it's just not the same. It's not the same philosophy. It's not the same being pushed. You're not mentoring, and maybe that's a step. The one veteran guy that you want in the locker room, you're not mentoring other guys, pushing, rookies in the locker room, second-year guys, third-year guys, fourth-year guys if you're Myles Murphy, which I'll be interested in your take on that, not just to put you on the spot, but, since we're in such a defensive conversation, do we pick up Myles Murphy? Do we extend him? Do we give him a year? What's your thought? What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, if you give him the 5th year, you might get the best performance out of him, but that's only because he's going to be looking to make more money somewhere else. I don't know if he has a tie to this organization. That's the worst part about being a Bengals fan, is everybody that gets drafted because they treat you so poorly in their player personnel side of the organization. I don't think anybody has ties to this place unless they're going to pay you a crap load of money. And I don't see him getting the money that he wants from Cincinnati. But if he goes out and has a good year, he's going to be too rich for our blood. But somebody else is going to see that and be like, oh, it was the year that he had to prove it. He proved it. Let's bring him in, and he might like playing for us, and maybe he plays like that again. I think that you do need to bring him, because what we just said about the pass rush, you have nobody else right now. Unless you're going to draft somebody and then hope that he's going to be it, or Shamar Stewart is going to have the offseason of a lifetime and come back as Zeus. You need somebody to rush the passer. And while Myles Murphy has not been up to the standard of where he should be with his draft pick, it's somebody there that that can rush the passer. And
Joseph Osai, I'm interested in your thoughts there. Coming off a six-year sack season, which was better than the guy we drafted from Michigan. It's slipping my mind. They nicknamed him the Mutant, which I think he only had like 1.5 fucking sacks this year. Yeah. Just a fucking brain dump there, No,
I like Osai, but he's another one. You need a coach. You need a adult to keep him from doing things. He gets wild hairs. That I go back to that hit against Patrick Mahomes. Was that technically roughing the passer? Yeah. Don't do that. It's so close. He's going out of bounds. He's giving himself up. Give yourself another chance. Don't put Harrison Butker with a 35-yard field goal instead of a 48-yard field goal because you decided that you were going to take the big lick on Patrick Mahomes. You're not knocking him out. At that point, just play the game that's in front of you. He needs somebody to stabilize him, whether that's a vet or a coach. Again, talent-wise, I love him. Keep him on the team because he can do things that nobody else in the organization can do right now, but somebody needs to rein him in. And maybe it's being another year older in the league. Maybe he's able to figure it out. But that was my biggest thing with him. Yeah, you play hard and you are physical, but you don't know how to play the nuance of this game at the high level. You get in big moments and you're gonna get got.
He is going into year 6, so not a young player, but not somebody. And I want to tie a bow on it with another draft failure, at least on paper. Chris Jenkins, the one I just brain dumped.
Yep.
Underwhelming. 1.5 sacks for the entire year. I know he had some knick-knack injuries, but he's going into year 3. Jimmy, this.
Wasn't he the Batman to Mason Graham's Robin when he was in Michigan? Wasn't he like the guy that everybody wanted?
Supposedly, yeah.
And Mason Graham had a hell of a season in Cleveland, and they were just as shitty as we were. Am I wrong here?
Their record was shitty, but their defense was top 10.
Oh yeah, no.
I'd flip it any day. I'd flip it any day to have a Myles Murphy.
Bring in Jim Schwartz as your defensive coordinator. He's no longer in Cincinnati, or no longer in Cleveland. He's available.
If I was ownership, I would make Al Golden the linebackers coach when he used to serve for the Bengals, and bring in the new coordinator tomorrow. I'll be like, hey, Golden, you're under contract, but you're being demoted. It didn't work out. Work with our young linebackers, figure it out. Tell me a veteran that's on the market that we might be able to run some numbers by. but Shorts is coming in who can develop a secondary, which, Caleb Downs might be the pick at 10. A lot of people are saying we're going to do it. It does make sense from a lot of standpoints. The man's had, a great year in the SEC, fantastic years over in the Big Ten with the Ohio State Buckeyes, national champion.
You just don't want to waste him, because I'm thinking of the guy, Jabril Peppers. I thought Jabril Peppers, when we drafted him, was going to be able to do something, and it was talent that was just wasted. Like, you don't want to – I love Caleb Downs. I think that he is amazing, but if you bring him in here, is he going to be enough of amazing to elevate everybody else that he has to do that with?
Are you talking about Cleveland wasting Peppers?
Because then he came here too. He came. He had a stint here in Cincinnati, if I'm not entirely mistaken. I don't think that.
I'd have to look that up because I know Peppers went. I know Peppers went from Cleveland, then to. I know he had a stint in New England. I'd have to look that up. I'm not here to correct you. I don't do that on live television.
No, yeah, okay. It was just that he was in Cleveland and always playing against us. But it's Caleb Downs, to me. I think that he's better than what Jabril Peppers was, but I saw talent get wasted, and I don't want to see talent get wasted like that. I think that he's great, and it would be a total shift, because Ohio State, regardless what happened in that game against Miami, you're always the more talented team, and everybody else around you has the chance to make the big play. If Caleb Downs comes to the Cincinnati defense, you're the guy. You have to make every single play. If you don't make a play to help us win this game, there's a very good chance that we lose. I think that would be a lot of pressure to put on a young guy.
Yeah, I agree with you, but a guy that's played both under Nick Saban before he retired, and then turned around and played, for guys like Ryan Day and Matt Patricia, especially, Matt Patricia being his defensive coordinator,
I'll give
bringing
you
that NFL mindset.
Ryan Day's got a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth right now.
I know. Believe me, that's an episode I'd love to run with you, especially when the spring game starts here in about. Damn, we're already there. The spring game starts in 4 weeks, so a lot to be said there. Time's moving by. I'm getting older. I'm getting a little fatter. I need to hit the gym, but things happen. But I think Downs would be, if we're not going to go trenches, and we're going to trust the two linebackers that we have and expect it, and we're not going to go left tackle, because I would love the left tackle from Miami, which they call him the anchor. That would just be that would be a perfect replacement. You want to talk about nailing the offensive line?
You just missed the big poly tackle to draft your receiver, so it would be another one. You could redo it. Yeah,
or getting rid of Orlando Brown Jr. That's going to be a real conversation the next year. Even though he had a what's considered a resurgence, he had a better year this year than he did last year, but still getting older, still taking those hits. He's absorbed, massive amounts of time in the league, protecting both in Kansas City and now in Cincinnati. And you got to think, early in the season, he gave up a lot of those sacks that, caused Joe Burrow to get the turf toe. So, that I wouldn't mind us if the tackle is there and we're going to nab one. The guy from Miami would be an absolute beast. And with the way the offensive line is shaping up, that's the one area I do trust to have a young guy, because they proved it last year that they could actually pull it together.
If I'm being honest and saying what I would like them to, instead of just going for talent, taking a guy that has shown he can elevate. Because in college football now with the NIL, I think the best thing that you have is when guys go into the NFL, they've proven whether or not they're leaders and professionals and able to do this thing for money. You got to start finding some team captains, some guys that have been in bad situations that ended up turning it around. You're not going to do it at 10, but an offensive lineman from Indiana, Kunigan, the guy that was the MVP of the Rose Bowl, somebody that's been through the worst Division I college football program and then stayed with Cincinnati and was able to turn himself into what he did. A guy that's been around in a bad situation, because let's be honest, that's what this is. It's a bad situation over the last 3 years. You've got to be mentally tough enough to turn it around. And the guys that they've been drafting recently, not mentally tough enough to do what they need to do in order to get this franchise going in that positive direction again.
Yeah, I agree with you fully. I wouldn't mind some of those other moves either. I really wouldn't. But there's just 10 is an interesting spot to be at. It's because anybody you can draft could be a day one starter. You don't have the draft project. You don't have to go with bullshit. We could the Bengals don't do that historically. 10 is a spot you could trade up if you're willing to part with some 2027 picks and maybe a name or two on the roster that, we're stuck with some dead money, some players that could be talented elsewhere. The opportunities are there. It has to happen this year, Jimmy, that we have to hit somebody in the first 2 rounds that's going to make day one impacts.
It's been something that I listen to Dan Horde and lap him a lot on the Bengals booth, and I listen to a little bit of the Locked On with Rapine and those guys because that's as close as I can get to the local radio stations. And I'm tired of talking myself into who we draft. I would like to draft somebody that we just know is going to come in and have an impact. I don't want to have to spin some story. I don't want to have to sit here on my podcast in August and be like, Nico, trust me. No, quit yelling at me. We don't need to talk. Just hear me out.
Shamar Stewart benches 500 pounds. It's going to translate.
Have you seen this guy work out? Have you seen him in a t-shirt and shorts? Did he play football? I'm asking you if you've seen him in a t-shirt and shorts. Last thoughts on the Bengals season before we move on to the teams that we're going to see play this Sunday in Santa Clara.
This season was just another way. It was a wasted year. It was a wasted year for Chase. It was a wasted year for Higgins, who had a career high 11 touchdowns. Wasted year for Brown, who had a career high in rushing, and another injury to Burrow because guys like Orlando Brown Jr. can't block. And that just it's the same song and dance. And it caught up to us. We didn't have the talent around us to elevate it or to mask the issues. And they got to wake up and they got to hit at least 2 starters on day 1 and 2. It would be great to see, a round 3 starter, but I'm not holding my breath, Jimmy. We gotta hit 2 guys in the draft, and we got to get at least 3 free agents that can come in and turn it around. And that's just where I'm at. Just disappointment city over in Cincinnati.
Hopefully the Pro Bowlers that we had were doing a good job of selling the organization because Duke Tobin and Blackburn and Mike Brown are not peddling for free agents. Come over to our franchise and see how we run things. Burrow and Chase have got to be like, you gotta be willing to invest a little bit. But if you play with us, we can do some things. I would love to see a turnaround like we're seeing play out this Sunday. Both teams in the AFC and NFC side. The Patriots 4-13 the year before. Mike McDonald comes in as an unknown defensive coordinator out of Baltimore and turned Seattle into the juggernaut of the NFC and was able to be the 1 seed, get home field throughout, overcome Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, which is something that not very many people can say, us included. I didn't want to bring up old wounds, but everybody was going to think about that after we spent 45 minutes talking about the Bengals. Yes, the Rams did beat us in that Super Bowl, and they didn't make it to this one. You want to start AFC or NFC? Because I feel like I know which team you're going to pick because the feelings run deep for one side, but where do you want to start since you're our guest?
Let's you're an AFC guy. I'm an AFC guy. Let's start with the AFC. I'll let you run us off here with the shot. Is there a world? I mean, I feel like, and I've said that the Patriots win this if they are able to keep it close. And the X factor to me for New England side is not anybody on the field. It's not the defense. It's not the offense. It's not Drake May. It's Mike Vrabel. Because I've seen Mike Vrabel do some wild things as a head coach and beat guys that I never thought could be beat in these situations. When he stole time from Bill Belichick, I was like, this guy, as good as he was as a player, as prepared as he was as a player, he's even more prepared as a coach. He knows things. So if you keep this thing close, the Patriots have all the chance in the world. My only issue is your offense has not shown up. Like, they're still lost from week 12. And while your defense is talented and while your defense can be opportunistic, you don't have the talent level that you're seeing on the other side. Seattle's defense, man-to-man, so much better than New England's. Like, New England,
if the Broncos were here a year early, New England's here 2 years early. That's my biggest worry with them. What's going to fail? This is the biggest moment of all your guys' life. How are you going to screw this up? Or is there that slim chance that they're able to hold things together? But I don't see this going very many ways positively for the Patriots. They have to keep this thing close. They have to make it a defensive slugfest. I'm picturing the Rams Super Bowl that they won at the end of Brady and Belichick's run, where it's 19-6 or something like that, where you totally take all the offense out of the game entirely and just play defense on defense and see what happens. But the Patriots, to me, have a lot of holes, more holes than people are bringing up because of the dynasty that was.
I don't totally disagree with that. And Jimmy, it's not the Patriots defense. They've answered all the questions. They're going to come to play. They have a defensive-minded head coach, obviously, and what I think is going to be a Hall of Famer one day, Mike Vrabel. But Jimmy, for me, it's the Patriots' run game. Can the running back group get it done? And something they struggled in the playoffs, and it was uncharacteristic, as a Buckeye fan, to see Travion Henderson missing, key blocks on passing downs and things of that nature, which is one of the big reasons they struggled.
He's almost unusable on passing downs right now.
Which that's his second round grade was pass protection. That's really what separated him from the rest of the group, because he was injury prone in college. He was a great pass catcher, but pass protection was something that he graded just off the charts with. So if the amount of time they have off, because they almost have 2.5 weeks off, whatever's bugging him, whatever's ailing him, if the running back room in New England got together with the offensive line and they put together a scheme that, like you said, they're gonna have to shrink the game. Possessions are gonna have to be 4 yards a carry, which you alluded to earlier on the program. Like you said, 4 and 4 and 4 is past 10. You got 12. And that's the way they're gonna have to dominate the game. They're gonna have to shorten the game because Seattle's offense is explosive. So if you keep Smith and Jimba on the sideline, he can't burn you. And Diggs is kind of a flash in the pan. He's successful, categorically in numbers wherever he goes, but he doesn't show up a lot. Yeah, he had the play, where the Vikings, it just two defenders bumped into each other. What, about 5 years ago now?
Yeah, he was back in Minnesota. That was like 3 teams ago.
It feels like ages ago now, but he's had flashes here or there, but he's not a guy, even in their playoff run, he's not a guy that's stacking up stats and getting it done. So like you said, the outside weapons are going to be the key. It's going to come down to this offensive line and run game, and can Drake May manage 4 yards here, 5 yards there, and then eventually, like you said, Mike Vrabel's going to have to cook something up, and pull something out of his cat in the hat bag and make the gorgeous play, make the sexy 25-yard plus downfield. We got the guy open, because it's gonna be that old, Ravens mentality. Run, fall. You got linebackers falling asleep and defensive guys falling asleep because the wide receivers have been blocking them for 20 minutes. And then all of a sudden they're going to be asleep. And that's when you hit dig on the go route. Everybody's sucked into that run game, but that run game's got to be effective in that first 12 minutes, or it's all going to go to hell in a handbag, because now you get in a situation where you're going to have to pass. You're going to play right into Seattle's golden ticket to the Super Bowl win.
And Seattle's defense is, again, I don't subscribe to the Patriots had the easiest path to the Super Bowl because of the defenses that they had to go through. Like the Chargers were a top 10 defense with Minter, who's now going to be a pain in our ass 2 times a year. That's not going to be fun to have to go up against his defenses in Baltimore. But that was a top 10 defense. The week after that, the Texans, everybody's scared of that defense. The Broncos got after the Patriots offense and were able to shut them down. But the big thing is that May's not turning the ball over. Like the beginning of the season, teams had a chance against the Patriots because he would fumble. You'd hit him and he'd just, oops, oh my God. Was I supposed to hold on to this? Was I supposed to keep possession of the football? Oh, that's right. I should hold on to that. Nico gave me a little bit of pushback. Speaking of left tackles, Will Campbell, I know that he's coming off of injury, but in the biggest games this year, that guy has not been able to hold up. And if you're telling me that in the Super Bowl, in his first ever time having a chance to win a game this big, that Will Campbell is going to be able to block DeMarcus Lawrence for an entire 60-minute game and not give up a sack fumble, it would be hard-pressed for me to believe you. So what is this offensive line going to do specifically in the pass protection to slow down this dark side defense? Because that's what Seattle is based on. They're based on their pass rush and moving guys around and attacking your weak spot. And right now your weak spot is left side with 2 rookies playing for you.
Yeah, that's, a lot to be determined there, especially with how Seattle's been playing all year long.
Yeah, no, I think that DeMarcus Lawrence is one of the sneakiest signings that we've seen this season. I know that he did a lot of good things in Dallas, but he was never going to be able to break through. And now with this Seattle team and in Mike McDonald's scheme, it's something that we haven't seen before. Going from Drake May to the opposite quarterback, Sam Darnold. I asked Darren and I asked Nico this question. Nico and I were kind of having this conversation. We said top 10. So we put a lead at top 5. Darnold definitely did things that were top 10 in the NFC Championship. I'll ask you this in 2 parts. Is Sam Darnold still going to see ghosts next season? And do you trust him doing this again? Because now it's 2 seasons in a row that he's won 14 games with 2 different franchises. He's the only person in NFL history to do that. He feels like he's learned how to read a defense and not turning the ball over in the biggest games. That was the Darnold special. It was the 2 interception minimum when it was in prime time, and now that's not happening. So is he seeing ghosts, and do you trust him to do this again next season?
Yes. I've been calling it the Sam Darnold revenge tour. I think, of course, if we want to fast forward to next year a little bit, it's a little bit less pressure. This year, I felt like he played with a bigger chip on his shoulder because he had more to prove. He was like, I was a 14-game winner, and the Vikings chose to go with, an overrated first-round rookie, which has been a bust. He has been.
Look at the color scheme that he's wearing, and you'll know exactly where that comes from.
I grew up in a time where I saw Brett Favre win 13 games for Minnesota, so I know things can be done. Yep. So you look at Minnesota just giving up altogether, and not to mention they even had Daniel Jones on the roster in Minnesota at one time. So there was a time where they had Darnold and Daniel Jones on the same pay roster.
They also had Danielle Hunter, who did pretty well in Houston. There's a reason that GM got fired. I'm starting to figure this out.
Oh, most definitely. Look at their quarterback situation. So
yeah.
Like I said,
it's all over the field. They literally, Danielle Hunter will never get 10 sacks again. Oh, well, that didn't work out. Sam Darnold will never make the playoffs with another franchise. Shit. JJ McCarthy's definitely going to lead us to the promise. We were out of it by week 10. Okay. Guys,
yeah.
What am I still doing here?
Oh, Daniel Jones is just a practice guy.
Yeah.
Before his injury in Indianapolis.
Until he snaps his leg in half, and, Indianapolis is that good.
100%. But to circle the wagons back to your question, yeah, I think he can do it again. 14 games, I give a leash of about 12 to 11 because I do think once you're great, the bullseye on your back. And, like I said, this is post-Super Bowl looking down the line. The cap's going to hit them hard. They're gonna lose a lot of defensive key pieces, especially in the secondary.
Very good division. 3 out of the 4 teams in that division always in playoff and Super Bowl contention.
So I don't give him 14. I'll give him the 12 to 11 marker. I don't see anything under 10. So I do think that he's established. He's comfortable. What he spoke about even in regular season play with his post conference, the first thing that he praises outside of his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is his coaching staff. And how many times do you hear that when quarterbacks, good or bad, the first thing that comes out of his mouth outside of his religious beliefs is thank you to the coaching staff. They're letting me play here. They're letting me be me. They're letting me watch film the way I want to watch film. They're letting me coach the field the way I want to coach the field. They're letting me call the plays. They're letting me audible. They're communicating with me in between series when the defense is out there. I'm talking to my coach. I'm talking to my head coach. I'm on the phone with my coordinator. That speaks volumes, man. And I think that's where That's where he's going to repeat these wins. It's not a fluke. Sam Darnold is somebody that needed to be coached. And you saw it in the Jets. You saw it in Carolina. You saw him just go on and on and on and on. And finally, Minnesota, he had success because I do think that was a overly talented roster. We can speak that over here in Cincinnati.
He learned the scheme and what he was going to do with that overly talented roster the season before in San Francisco. Like that's what I mentioned 2 nights ago on episode 265. He didn't get taught how to read a defense until year 4 because he spent 2 years in New York, and everybody sucks in New York. He spent 2 years in Carolina under Matt Rule, who was still running read options and triple option offense. And now he went underneath Kyle Shanahan, had to play in relief of Brock Purdy. Like, he didn't even know what a defense was until year 3. And not to mention, his defensive coordinator against him in New York was Greg Williams. And I said last night, he's blitzing 12. There's only 11 on the defense. He sent 12 at me. I swear to God, he sent 12.
Yes. I remember that episode. It was also that episode. I remember that game because it was also around Halloween time. So it just fit the perfect when he said ghost out here. Oh, shit. I'm saying, I remember that.
It was against the Patriots, by the way, too. The ghosts that he saw were against the Patriots. And if this is the revenge tour, poetic justice, man. Poetic justice. The team that just made your life absolute hell. The reason why you're labeled as a bust as the number 3 overall pick. You have the chance with the better team, the better roster, the better offense, better defense, better special teams to just handle if you want to. I feel like if and this will bring us into predictions and bring us to we're on the back half of the show and everything like that, but just if there is a blowout in this one, it's Seattle getting the better of New England. I think that it'll be close. I'm not predicting the blowout, but if I were to see a blowout happening, it's Seattle absolutely thumping New England in this game. And I'm interested to see what your official prediction is for Super Bowl 60.
Are we making it now, or am I letting you go first?
Yeah, no, you get to go first because you're the guest. I've already done this 3 times, and I said last night, I might change my pick every single time, so I'm just right at some point. I get to make the clips, so I'll figure out when I'm right, and I'll put that one out there.
So I'm going to read you the Maxon script here, and I do think, and you look at statistically, and you look through the years, New England has a bigger chip on their shoulder because every paper, Vegas, every betting site in the world has them not winning. So Seattle's coming in the hot favorite. And I think in the first half, Jimmy, I think it's a 3-point game in the first half. I think it's 7-10. Seattle goes in because New England's going to come out defensively and shell shock them and kind of give them something they haven't faced in a couple of weeks. And I think, Mike Vrabel is going to pull some stuff out of his hat defensively, throw some exotic schemes, some things they haven't seen. I think you're going to see some slot blitzes, things that I'm a big fan of. But, God bless Mike Hilton. But, things of that nature that they really haven't seen in a couple of weeks. And, but overall, like you said, I think, the pressure is going to mount. Drake May is going to have that turnover, non-weather related. It's not like the Texans game where
he didn't turn anything over in that Broncos game too. Did you see how quickly that changed? Have you seen a game flip that fast?
I have not in a really long time.
It was like 10 minutes. They said it went from 0 snow on the field to you couldn't see the lines in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane. It's like Ohio here when we got like 2 feet of snow 2 weeks ago when I got snowed in. But
and I'd also said that rollout play where Drake May just threw it to Nico in the stands, because that was literally towards Nico's seats. I was like, I haven't seen anything like that since I watched the Ohio State-Michigan documentary, and there was literally a blizzard where nobody could see 2 feet in front of them, and they just punted it back and forth for 2.5 hours, and then somebody fell on the ball in the end zone. That was the winner. Let's get out of here.
Hey, you're not wrong. But that, Mother Nature definitely made her statement in that game. And that's what I hate. I hope we continue to still – I hate domes. I know they have their place. Maybe that'll be another episode for the offseason. We'll talk about that opinion. I would love to be back on for that. But, my overall – to finish my prediction, I'm going to say 28 – because I see offense. You know what? I'm going to say 31-21. Seattle wins it. I think that Drake May and company make a push at the end, but he's going to make that one turnover that just that does the game. He's going to turn over the ball somewhere on their 40 or 50 yard line. Jackson Smith and Jim is going to hit a big route off of a play action, and that's pretty much going to seal the game. Once Seattle gets up 10 to 14 points, it's over. It's a kind of a cat and mouse game, but I think it's going to be everything we want it to be. I think it's going to be Mike Vrabel's statement to the league that they're here to stay in the AFC, and their reign is not done. And I know that sucks being a Bengals fan saying that, but that's just realism because they're going to go out and they're going to do more, and he's going to get better recruits. He's going to get better free agents. But Seattle finishes the revenge tour with Sam Darnold. The coaching staff finally puts it together. They show why they cut DK Metcalf, got rid of Tyler Lockett, all the distractions, and let Jackson Smith and Jimba shine, and they bring home the win. So I'm saying 31-21. It's going to be entertaining. It's going to have its moments, but Seattle's just going to be overwhelming in the end.
I said last night, don't trade a quarterback with Seattle because they win every quarterback trade. They won the Geno Smith trade. They won the Russell Wilson trade. If you're going to trade quarterback with Seattle, don't do it. Don't do it, please. It's not a good idea. It's not good for you. It's only going to work out bad. Please trust me on this. I'm sitting here and I'll put a number on it finally because I haven't put a score on it yet, but I've said the Seahawks every single time, so nobody can clip me. I have not yet picked the Patriots. I'm sitting here saying 24-17. I think there will be a stretch where it's a 17-point lead, and Vrabel's going to have the ability, the offense. They're going to get it back within 10, but that's just going to be where they stall. I think maybe the moment is big at some point for the Seattle defense. New England catches them off guard. They're able to get it back in the end zone, but ultimately I think it's a touchdown game. So if you're a betting person, that means that you should take, whether it's money line or spread, you should take Seattle because their spread right now is 4.5. But I think that Seattle wins by a touchdown, and I think that New England, if you take New England's money, then it's probably going to be like a backdoor situation. I see it as 24-17. I think that the defenses are going to show out, and I do still see Seattle coming out on top. They're the best team in all three phases right now. And whether it's a kick return or getting somebody to muff a punt on the other side, I like that it's a neutral site for the Super Bowl, but wouldn't it be a sight to see the Super Bowl being played in Lumen? Because that's technically where it would be if it was based on seating. And I don't know how you feel about this, but I said Lumen's the closest thing in the NFL that we have to a college atmosphere. The noise level when Rashid Shaheed took that kickoff back against San Francisco, I felt it through the TV. And through the TV and through my parents bought a sauna that we have at our house off of Amazon. So I was sitting in the sauna and I'm watching the NFC Championship, and I hear the crowd through the speakers, through the TV, through the sauna, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! I thought we said Mile High was loud here in Denver. That's the loudest I've ever heard any place. The roof just exploded. They don't even have a roof. What's going on?
Yeah, it's gonna be wild, and I don't disagree with that. I like that you pick closer numbers. I think that it kind of takes away that turnover. I feel Drake makes that turnover, and it just puts the game in that 10-point range.
Is McDaniels going to give him the ability to make that turnover? That's the question. I think if McDaniels is also of the Belichick tree that will just try and keep things close. If he realizes, we can't score more than 20 points on this team, we'll score 17. Why not?
But if the running back room fails and he has to force that play to Diggs, or tries to bust something, and maybe they won't. I do think a part of my thoughts. I don't want to give everything away, but I think TreVeyon Henderson does what TreVeyon Henderson did best at Ohio State. I think they hit him on a screen pass for 60 plus yards. I think that's where that's where they're going to make their money, is in these young running backs that are going to be able to dominate the game and really make that. That 2 years ago when we beat Texas, with TreVeyon Henderson going 70 yards on the screen to turn it before halftime. I do think that's where the Patriots have the ability to make it close because they do have those playmakers and they do have that offensive line to make it happen. But they have to do it. They have to execute.
Yeah, they have to be able to take advantage of the opportunities. If it's given to you like it was in the AFC Championship, you better fucking take it, because Seattle is not going to hang it out there as long as Denver did. With the 4th down call in the AFC Championship and then the fumble from Stidham, like Denver was basically swinging their ticket out in front of him. It's like, yeah, you can't get it. You can't get it. I don't have it anymore, guys. I don't have it.
You will never get this. Well, he got it. If you get that reference, God bless you. If you don't, move on.
If you're East Coast like Jordan, it's late, so we might as well. We're gonna wrap things up. I'm gonna let Jordan tell us what he has coming up for the Maxon Report show. That's tell us where we can follow you. Tell us if you have any guests lined up currently that people would be excited about. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
We got a couple guests lined up here. I know I'm doing double duty next week. I'm doing a show on Monday and Tuesday. I've got a little bit of and we'll talk offline of it. I have a little bit of preemptive strike maintenance on my cancer issues that I've had on and off. I'm gonna get some spots removed on Thursday. So God help me, I started a liquid diet on Monday. It's gonna suck next week, but I'm gonna stuff my face on Friday the 13th and watch Jason slash motherfuckers all day long in recovery. It's gonna be an awesome day. But I have a young gentleman, a dual threat quarterback by the name of Miles Holman. This kid, he is in 8th grade, but he is playing varsity football at the moment at the quarterback position. He's a dual threat quarterback. He's somebody expected in the 2029 class as somebody that's going to be either a top 10 to top 15 splash in the position, Jimmy. So all schools are going to be after him. I'm going to be speaking to him Monday at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a great show. I'm going to hear from somebody younger, their perspective, and how this recruitment, especially at that young age, is rocking. What schools he's contacting, what he wants to do. But that somebody, he's running 4.3 right now. As a young man, he's absolutely killing the game. He can throw with both hands, which is also kind of something that's rare. So, Jimmy, I'm going to send you his videos and some of his hub tape. But, it's going to be interesting to hear from a much younger perspective in the game. And it's going to be super fun. And I've also got Max Kobach coming on Tuesday. We had to cancel him last week due to some weather issues. We got slapped with another foot of snow. It set his workouts back. It set my stuff back. So I've gotten with this camp. We're going to talk to him. He is a top 25 in his position at right tackle. He has made a verbal commitment to Ohio State. It's going to be fun to hear from the young man and his recruitment process and things like that. He's also just about every MAC school in that conference has also made him an offer. So, and the kid's only a junior. So he's going to come back for a senior season in high school after being a state runner-up over in Division II. And we're going to talk about that experience, what it's like to be that close. What do you need to get into the weight room? What's going to motivate you? So for our younger viewers, it's going to be a fun week to hear from guys that kind of see it from your perspective and can really elevate your game and what it's going to take as a work ethic as a team.
And for my students, my 7th grade students that have told me I'd subscribe to your channel, make sure that you check out Jordan's show too, because now he has people that are coming on that are a little bit closer to your age from a different part of the country. And I say it all the time. I teach world geography, so like Eastern Hemisphere. I would love to teach a U.S. geography class. If we had a U.S. geography standard in the country, we might actually like each other a little bit more. I would understand the Deep South a little bit better than I do. I would understand the Pacific Northwest more than I do if we actually learned what they do and what is important to them. But no, I think that's awesome that you're getting the young guys on and people in high school. It's wild to hear me say you have a team that you talk to, but it's the truth. They probably have an agent. They probably have the parents that are deeply involved with the agent. You got to go through the proper channels, but it's also a weird time where high school kids can be out in the open and middle school.
Well, right now in the state of Ohio, I've had a couple guys from Florida, a couple guys from West Virginia. We've hit the Deep South too for some of these high school athletes, but right in Ohio, high school athletics is legally allowed to have NIL deals. And that is one of the reasons we shifted programming, because we're the first state to do it, and it's going to catch on. The NIL is very open, very wild, and it's very new. And my program focus is to really put a personality and a face and just kind of some softness, outside the jersey and number, because it's all watch and huddle right now. It's, what's his numbers? What's his reps? What's his speed? And, we give these guys a platform to come on, and we talk some silly stuff sometimes. We talk cinema. We talk, movies. We talk, what do you do in the off season? Fishing, video games, you name it. I've had, guys that say just they sit in total silence and sanctuary, and to kind of hear that and, open it up to a new audience. And the last question I tell them, Jimmy, I ask them, even guys that have committed, because the community wants to know, what do you as a person, not just the player, bring to the next level to not only your team, your locker room, but your community and your college where you're at. And to hear those answers, and nobody answers the same. And it's great to hear just those different perspectives from different lives and different ways of thinking and doing business. And it really gives them that platform. And this is why I enjoy it the most, because you hear that. And I just hope it gets out there to the right ears, because now their fan base is like, all right, this is what I'm expecting for the next 4 years or 3 years if they declare for the draft as a junior. Because a lot of these guys will get the chance to play on Sundays, but they're definitely going to play on Saturdays. And it's cool to talk to them right before that transition.
It's awesome. Like, the reason why we click so well on podcasts and everything like that is because we see the world the same way. We see it in stories. Like, I want to tell a story. I don't care what you can see about the accomplishments and writing about yourself. That's all cool. What did you do in the other moments? What was the story that got you to that point? Because everybody has it and it's different. Some people can tap into it. Some people can't. Some people can express themselves. Some people, it takes a little bit more prodding, but I implore our audience, check out Ohio's Maxon Report at OH_sports talk. And make sure to keep, like, it's different. It's something that I don't see it a ton of other places with the high school recruits that are getting put onto shows. So if that's your interest, if you love college football the way that a lot of people in this country do, that is a amazing show for you to check out. And we couldn't put our stamp of approval higher on it. I know Nico would say the same thing. Like, it is top quality content. You will get stories that you don't hear other places. You don't get these guys in the national spotlight to say some of these things. That's the benefit of being a little bit smaller. People feel comfortable. I can tell this story. Why not? The ESPN producers would have said, heck no. But I'll say, yeah, come on, bring it, please.
Yeah, and one of my guests, we had an Army, a guy transferred from Army to Ohio State a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about just the just opening scenes in movies and cinema and things like that. And like you said, the ESPN producer would have been like, no, we can't talk about competing studios. It's going against Disney. We can't. But
tell me, please. I want to know who you are as a person, because the person is always the better. I don't need to know who your image is. I just need to know who's behind the image, because that's always almost 110% different. No, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you giving the Bengals the space that they deserve on this show, being able to breathe a little bit, not being pulled back to the Denver side of things. It was nice. I don't know if we've ever had 45 minutes straight of Bengals talk on this feed, but we got it now.
We might have. We would have to check one of our earlier episodes, because I think a year ago we went on and just say absolute rant in tandem that
fire Zach Taylor. Wait a second, we just said that 25 minutes ago too. Things change, but they stay the same, don't they?
They do. The definition of insanity lives in Ohio pro sports.
Yes, I do also want to say that, take the time to say this too. You are somebody, like, I know that cancer touches a lot of people. So if you are somebody that's had that, all my good thoughts and everything. I know we don't talk as much as the girl relationships are different. We don't need to talk every day, but every time that we do talk, it's, we might not be similar. We're similar ages, but we might not be from the same place. We might not be from the same time. You and I mesh. All the good thoughts and feelings for you and everything that's coming up. Fuck cancer. Like we can straight up say that. Fuck it all.
Yes, fuck it all.
It's terrible, and we will continue to be the best self that we can be moving forward. I feel like that's the only thing you can do in those situations. Whatever color you are, whether it's the rainbow that you're saying fuck all of it to. But yeah, I feel good about ending things on that. Fuck cancer.
No,
and follow
cancer.
us.
Yes, follow us. Follow us. We do a hell of a job. And these boys over here at the far end of the bench, and it's not just because I come on the show. It's not just because we're friends. If I was just an everyday viewer and I had my own platform to praise it, they do just an excellent job. They flow together. They clash when they need to clash. The ideas go back and forth. They come with a little bit of different views. They come with just different tandems, different topics. They cover it all. These guys are great. Their theme song is great. They have a whole episode on. They even had the guy that created the song on. You go on their YouTube channel.
Go get drunk in Vegas a little bit more often, and you'll find some really cool stories. I don't know it was like eight of these, and I was like, I'll go talk to that guy. Why not? Let's go talk to him. I bet you he'll make us a song for the show.
That's what happened to Ohio Sports Talk when when we had Bronson Arroyo on, and that was our theme song on that. We were talking to him about theme song. He's like, man, I have a song for you, and it, holy shit, it worked.
I love your guys' song.
Oh, dude, I love it. I still can't believe that we're having him on a third time this spring to talk a little bit of baseball again. But yeah, Bronson Arroyo, friend of the show. Still text each other over holidays. The guy is just a world-class act. Check out his records. The Bronson Royal Band travels around the country. If you ever get a chance to see him, I highly recommend it. But Jimmy, we covered it all. We put a bow on it. We said fuck cancer. I don't know if you got anything left in that, but I'm going to toast to you. Toast to the gridiron times. Toast to the new times. And to the future, brother. We got a bright one ahead of us.
Keep doing big things. For everybody, the far end of the bench channels, Jordan, Maxon from the Maxon Report, thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you after the Super Bowl.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.